today's video we are going to be building or making some plugs or wobblers or crankbaits or whatever you want to call them. Now the weather's been pretty crappy the last few days, so I haven't actually been able to get out and do anything on the boat, as in get it ready to go in the water. Hopefully that'll clear up and we'll get some more of that done. So I spent my time on this instead, making some of these. Now the idea behind these is, obviously I've used many lures over the years, and I've had wooden ones in the past which you can't get now, or you can get a plastic equivalent, but they don't catch as well as the wooden ones used to. On top of that, some of the modern lures which are catching quite well that I've used last year, they literally fall apart, and you really don't want to use lures like that when you hook into a big fish and you're going to lose it. So I decided to take all the knowledge of all the years, of all the designs that I know work and styles, and try and build some myself. Now you can make these obviously with a knife, but these will have been done on a lathe. What we're going to be doing is we will be testing these at a later date. I was going to do like one video, but I decided to put it together or put it into separate parts because I don't know where it's going to go with this. We're going to build at least 4 to 6 of these. We will be testing from boat and shore. The first part is obviously the build, the second part will be catch. We might do, say, build, boat, shore, we might do build, boat, shore, different types. We'll see how we get on with the lures. Obviously it's all down to the lures, and it's all down to whether there's bass in the area to test them, because if you're going to catch a bass on it, you'll pretty much catch most other fish with it. Now it is a prototype, so it's going to be kept fairly basic. As in, I'm not going to put fancy spray colours on that, because if I test them and I see there's anything slightly off with them, I can bring them in, and being wood, I can carve a bit off, reshape it a little bit, do different things with it if I need to, and that's what, you know, we might do. I hope we won't have to do that, and we probably won't, but we'll see. But we'll film all of that, and we'll film, like I say, the fishing with these, and we'll film what they catch and how well they go under the water, how deep they go, all the different things. Basically what we're trying to do is make an incredibly good catching lure that is consistent, not the one that just catches one here, one there, because a lot of lures that you buy will catch, but it's finding those ones that are very consistent is the ones you want, or the ones that will catch in really tough fishing conditions. So part 1. Part 2 will be, I'll leave a link at the end of the video, actually in the video, and I'll also leave a link in the description. Now if you're watching this straight off the bat within the first month or two, the link won't be there yet. If you want to keep up to date with all of that, then just subscribe and hit the bell button, and then you'll be notified as videos go up. So, part 1, here it comes. Right, well, as you would have seen, we've just turned some wood up on the lathe. You see, this is the one we're actually probably working on that you probably saw. There is several that I'll be working on, as you see here. Now, these are, like I say, all prototypes, tests really. I know the design I want, or the designs, because I want a couple of different designs. I kind of know what catches after all these years, so I want to get those shapes on these lures. And like I say, we're going to be doing several of these, and we'll be painting them up. We'll probably just paint them up white, and we'll give them a test run for now. I'm not going to get too fiddly with the paint jobs on them, because I mean, a standard white would do the trick for now, just to test them, because obviously if they don't work, I don't want to spend hours making a pretty lure if it's going to be a useless lure. So, but anyway, once you've done that, once you've spun them up, they need to be cut off. You can do this with a knife. You can do it like, you can whittle the wood or whatever and make lures. That's how I used to do it. But you want to use something like birch. It's good wood to use for this. It's easy enough to carve. So you don't want anything too hard like oak or holly or any of those kind of woods, because you'll make your life very, very difficult. I mean, you can do it, but it's just, you know, you get a better finish and a easier job using something like a birch wood. And I mean, you can use pine if you want, depends how long you're going to use your lures for. So once you've cut it off, you'll end up with something like that. Then what you've got to do is you've got to split the wood like so, and that's what we're attempting to do now. Now, we did this on a bandsaw. Personally, I'd probably use a fret saw. You can use a piercing saw as well to do this. This one obviously is very thin, but then that's okay, because like I say, we are trying slightly different things. This one actually is a small design that I wanted to try and get right, and that's what this wire is going to be for. I've actually got some more wire coming, so there'll be some thicker one as well. Now, once you've split it, you need to carve a channel. Now, depending on how you cut, if your cut is dead center, you're going to need to carve it a little bit both sides probably. If your carving is obviously off center, you can just carve one side to put your wire in. So then you'd put your wire in like that. You'll have a loop like this, all bent right over, so you've got like a through wire. Double it back quite a ways, same on the front, and the center's just a V. It'll come out, or a T shape. And you put your wire into that groove, and then basically you araldite this back together. Now, if you're going to use something like this, this is basically it's an old file. It's an engraving tool basically, but it's made from an old file. I used to use it for engraving jewellery, this kind of thing, or metals, and it works really well. So you basically just cut off an old file. They're both part of an old file. Grind them up, sharpen them up, and you've got yourself an engraver. Another thing you can do with this before you glue it back together with the wire is you can drill a small hole and you can put shot in it. If you want to make it sink a bit deeper, you can do that. This one's a bit smaller. On a bigger one you could hollow it out and even put a couple of ball bearings in there for sound, although it's a little trickier with wood compared to thin plastics. So after you've done that, you'll end up with something like this. As you can see, this has got its wires in, front, middle, bottom. It's only been glued together. It needs to be cleaned up, sanded. I need to shape this as well. I'm going to shape the sides flatter. The actual size and this kind of direction is pretty good. It's just I need to flatten it off, thin it. I don't want it so round. And then I've got to put in a fin. Now for the fin, I'll be using probably a bit of this Perspex. You can use bits of metal or sheets, thin metal if you want. But this one for the smaller one, this one, I don't know yet. I might just take one off an old lure that doesn't work, one of the old Chinese lures that got kicking around. That's not any good. The fins are good on them, so I can always take one from there. So we'll be using that, like I say, on that one. Little tip: if you just put a little shallow saw line to start with, that'll guide your engraving tool. The next thing is just be careful that you don't dig into the grain. It'll be in one direction, whichever way you've cut it. That'll be the way, that way. And these things are a little bit fiddly. It's a lot fiddlier for me because I'm trying to work with a camera here. Normally I do this on my jewellery bench, but... So you'll end up with something like that. That's his grooves. I've done it on only one side. This is slightly offset, so that's fine. I'll just do it in this side. Then your wire will go through there like that. Once you've obviously shaped the wire, and it will clamp down on top of it like this. There we go. So it'll clamp down like that on top of the wire. Now, you use a softer wood, or not such a hard wood as well, that'll help, because when you come to glue this, you'll just clamp it, and if your lure's not quite the right size, it'll just squash into the wood a bit, so you won't have to be so precise with your groove, or so deep with your groove. And that's basically what you end up with. And like I say, obviously the wire's got to be made into the right shape first. So once your groove's done and you've bent your wire, you end up with something like that. Wire goes in just like that. Just make sure that you sand this groove a bit if you do any of these, because you want to get rid of any little burrs. You're trying to spend a bit of time on the wire. You're trying to get it to fit perfectly, so when you glue it, you just bang that on there, and when you clamp it down, it'll clamp down nice and tight like that, and it's good to go. Now try and keep these short. I've kept the front and the back a little shorter. The middle one is a little bit long, but it's not long enough to worry about, to be too worried about. As long as you can get a split ring on them. And the front and the back, if they are slightly shorter when you've made it, don't worry about it too much. Just nip off the front and back a little bit of the wood you can get onto it. It's better than having a long wire that's going to bend around, or have a chance of bending around more. So all I've got to do now is clamp it, glue it, and we're good to go. Now, these lures aren't designed to look the prettiest necessarily. They are designed to catch fish. That's the main aim of this. So they may swim a little off, they may look a little off, but then again, fish in shoals, the predators are always hunting for the weakest target, so hopefully it'll be this. Also, if you want to add weight to it, just do that. Drill some holes, stick some shot in it, and you can do it on both sides like that, so you've got double the shot. But I'm just adding a bit more to give it more weight. Obviously you've got to be able to cast this. This is only a very small one, so it needs that extra bit of weight. So the front bib, I just cut a piece of perspex like this with the bandsaw. Then I shaped it like that with a sander. I also put a hollow into the front of this particular bib for the big one. Then we just notch it and glue it in again, araldite it in to the front of the lure like that. So this one's got like I say a curve in the front, which you probably can't see. I'm not going to bother polishing up these bibs, because like I say, these are only prototypes. That one there as well, it's got a smaller bib. This one's left flat. I haven't hollowed that one because this lure's quite flat anyway, so it should be able to stabilise in the water. So the next thing is to get them painted up. Now I did give these a coat of sealer before I sprayed them, just to stop the spray paint soaking in so easily. So there you are, the first two prototypes are ready for testing. Now, as I said, they're going to be just done in white for the time being. They are designed to catch fish, so they don't need to look pretty, and hopefully that will do the trick. Now we're going to be making a few others. Like I say, I've still got some in production, like this one, which is split. I haven't done anything further than that. I've got some new wire came today, a bit thicker, so we can do some slightly larger ones as well. And there's a few sort of thin designs like this that I might try out. But the idea is going to make sort of, I don't know, 4, 6 of these lures, different, all slightly different. Get out on the water and then test them to see how well they catch. Like I say, I'm looking for consistency with the catching, more so because I mean a lot of lures will catch. In fact, most lures will catch at some point, but we need consistency. So that'll be in the next video. Like I say, that'll be the testing phase when we're out in the water and trying to catch fish with them.